My job title was Municipal Infrastructure Inspector. That sounded important, but what it really meant was that I drove around empty neighborhoods at night and wrote down which streetlights weren't working. The city scheduled inspections between midnight and 4 in the morning. Less traffic, fewer complaints. Easier to see which lights were out. Most people didn't even know someone did this job. They just assumed streetlights either worked or they didn't. I liked the quiet. I liked the roads when they were empty. I liked knowing exactly where I would be and when. My route covered the east side of the city, old suburbs built decades ago, wide streets, large front yards, houses that all looked like they had been copied and pasted from the same blueprint. I drove the same 26 streets every night, not because anyone told me to, because routine made time disappear. I started on Pine Avenue, turned left onto Carter Road, looped through Maple Street, then followed the river past the cul-de-sacs before heading back toward the industrial park. Same turns, same timing, same stops. By 2 in the morning, I could drive the route with my eyes half closed. That was my first mistake. The first strange thing happened on Maple Street. House number 417 had a porch light that was always off, except when I passed it. The first night it happened, I barely noticed. My headlights slept across the lawn and the porch light clicked on, warm and yellow, like someone inside had been waiting. I assumed it was a motion sensor. The second night, it happened again. The third night, same timing, same light, same moment my truck came into view. What bothered me wasn't that the light turned on, it was that it didn't turn on for anything else. A car passed in the opposite lane, nothing. A delivery truck rumbled by earlier in the shift, still nothing. But when my truck appeared, the porch light woke up. I decided to test it. One night, I parked a block away and waited with my headlights off. I watched the house from the corner of the street. The porch stayed dark. A minute passed, 2 minutes. Then I slowly rolled forward. The instant my headlights touched the edge of the lawn, the porch light turned on. Not gradually, not dimly, on. Like a switch had been flipped by something watching the road. I told myself it was coincidence, but the next week, another house did it. Then another. One on Willow Lane, one on Carter Road. Lights off. My truck approaches. Lights on. They never turned off again after that. Once they reacted to me, they stayed glowing until morning. By the end of the second week, 5 houses did it, all along my route, all spaced apart, all behaving exactly the same way. That was when I noticed the windows. Some of those houses were empty, no furniture, no lamps, no televisions, just bare rooms, and on the walls there were shadows, not cast by chairs or tables, not shaped like people, long shapes that didn't match anything inside the rooms, as if something had stood there long enough to block the light and then left its outline behind. I started writing down times. Maple Street, 4:17, 2:17 a.m. Willow Lane, 2:08, 2:31 a.m. Carter Road, 5:05, 2:46 a.m. The times never changed. Even when I sped up, even when I slowed down, even when traffic forced me to pause, the lights didn't care about distance. They cared about me. I changed my route. Instead of starting on Pine Avenue, I started near the river. I skipped Maple Street entirely. I drove the streets in reverse order. The next night, the lights adjusted. They turned on in the new sequence, not by street, by logic, like something was following the idea of the route rather than the map. That was when the feeling in my stomach changed from curiosity to fear. I wasn't being followed, I was being studied. After that, I started seeing movement. Not people, not animals. Shapes behind curtains. Tall shapes, still shapes, watching the road. One night on Maple Street, I slowed down and looked straight at the front window. The porch light turned on, and a silhouette appeared behind the glass. It was too tall to be human. Its head nearly brushed the top of the window frame. Its arms hung too low, the hands reaching where knees should be. It didn't move. It didn't wave. It didn't turn its head. It just faced the street, faced me. I reported it to my supervisor. He said it was probably squatters. I said squatters don't synchronize porch lights with city schedules. He laughed. They always laugh first. The next night, some of the lights were already on before I reached them, like they were turning on early, waiting. I stopped my truck on Maple Street and shut off the engine. The porch light was off. The house was dark. I sat there with my hands on the steering wheel. Nothing happened. I waited. The street was silent. Then I opened my door. The porch light turned on. The front door opened. Something stood inside the doorway. It looked like a person wearing a loose costume of a person, skin sagging like it didn't belong to the body underneath, shoulders hunched too far forward, neck too long. It raised one arm and pointed down the street, not at me, past me, toward the rest of my route, like it was giving directions, like it was reminding me where to go. I don't remember starting the engine. I only remember being farther down the road. That night, more houses turned on. Not just porch lights, living rooms, bedrooms, every window glowing, empty rooms, shadows burned into the walls, and behind some of the curtains, shapes stood watching, not moving, just present. The city map in my truck started to look wrong. Streets appeared where I knew there were none. Dead ends turned into loops. Addresses showed up that didn't exist, like something was rewriting the layout based on where I drove. I stopped sleeping. I started taking different roads home. I changed my coffee shop. I changed the time I ate. I changed my clothes. I tried to break every pattern I could think of. But at night, the lights still came on. Not all of them, just enough to show me where I had been and where I would go. One night, I stayed home. I didn't clock in. I didn't call anyone. At 2:17 a.m., my phone vibrated. A text from dispatch. "Why did you skip Maple Street?" I stared at the message, typed back that I wasn't working. 3 dots appeared, then another message. "But Maple Street is first." I turned off my phone. Across the street, a porch light turned on. I didn't have a porch light. The next night, I drove out. I needed to see it again. I went to Maple Street, house 417. The porch light was already on. So were all the others. Every house on the block glowed. Doors open, dark hallways behind them, and in every doorway, something stood. Not identical shapes, but the same height, like a species that couldn't agree on a form. One stepped forward. It wore a jacket, my city patch sewn crookedly on the sleeve. Its face wasn't finished, just a stretched surface where features pushed from the inside. A mouth formed. It spoke my name, perfect voice, wrong tone. It said, "Your route is ready. Please continue." I quit the next morning. No explanation, no notice. I sold my truck. I moved to another city. I took a warehouse job on the day shift. No routes, no schedules, no maps. For a while, I thought I was safe. 2 weeks later, I drove past a neighborhood at night. Just once, just passing through. A porch light turned on. I hit the gas. The news never reported anything, but rumors moved through city departments. Streetlight inspectors quitting, garbage truck drivers disappearing, meter readers found without their uniforms, in houses with no power lines, rooms with no furniture. Only shadows burned into the paint, like something had stood there long enough to become permanent. They said it wasn't hunting people. It was learning them, learning their jobs, learning their timing, learning how cities moved. And once it learned your route, it didn't need you anymore. Now I live in places without streetlights. I walk at different times every day. I never take the same road twice. And when I see a porch light turn on in an empty house, I don't look back, because I know what it means. It means something just noticed me, and it's building a map, not of streets, of habits. And when it finishes the map, it won't need drivers. It won't need inspectors. It won't need workers. It will know how to move by itself, light by light, house by house, root by root, until the whole city belongs to it. I thought leaving the city would save me. I moved 300 miles west to a place with fewer streetlights and fewer houses. I took a warehouse job loading trucks during the day. I rented a small apartment near the edge of town where the roads turned into dirt and the nights stayed dark. No route, no schedule, no repetition. For the first month, nothing happened. I slept again. I stopped checking windows. I started believing I had imagined everything. That was mistake number 2. The first sign came on a Sunday night. I was driving home late from a friend's place. The road cut through a half-built neighborhood, just foundations, a few framed houses, and long stretches of darkness between them. As I passed one of the unfinished houses, a light turned on inside. There were no windows yet, no doors, no wiring, just concrete and wooden beams. But the inside glowed, not bright, dim, yellow, like a memory of light. I didn't stop. I didn't slow down. I drove straight home and locked the door behind me. After that, it spread again. One abandoned gas station with its canopy lights flickering on. One empty school building with hallway lights glowing through boarded windows. One house under construction with a single room lit up inside. Always when I passed, always when I followed some kind of path. It wasn't houses anymore. It was structures, places meant for people, places meant to be walked through. That's when I realized something new. It wasn't learning streets, it was learning movement. I tried to avoid driving at night, but one evening the warehouse supervisor asked me to take a delivery across town. I didn't want to, but I needed the job. The route took me past a closed shopping mall. The parking lot was empty, the building was dark. As my truck rolled by, the lights inside the mall turned on. Not all at once, one store at a time, like footsteps. I saw mannequins inside the clothing store windows. They hadn't been there before. I knew that because I had passed this mall dozens of times. The mannequins were facing the hallway, not the glass, facing inward, like they were watching something walk by. That night, I dreamed of streets I'd never been on, grids of light stretching into darkness, rooms stacked under rooms, doors leading into sidewalks. I woke up with my phone vibrating. Unknown number. The message said, "Your path has changed." I deleted it. It came back. Different number. Same words. I started researching. I didn't know what else to do. I searched for missing workers, street inspectors, garbage collectors, meter readers, transit employees, people whose jobs involved moving through the city the same way every day. The reports didn't call it strange, they called it coincidence, but the dates lined up. Different cities, different states, same pattern. People disappeared after changing routes, or after quitting, or after being replaced. That's when I found the forum, not on the regular web, buried inside old municipal worker boards. No usernames, no profile pictures, just messages. Does anyone else see the lights? It copies your timing. It doesn't need you once it finishes the map. Don't let it finish. One post was longer than the others. It was written by someone who had been a subway maintenance worker. He said the thing didn't live in houses, it lived under them, in the empty spaces between infrastructure, storm drains, service tunnels, utility corridors, places people built but didn't occupy. He said the lights were only the surface. What it really built was a path system underground, a second city, a shadow city,
one that mirrored how the real one moved. That night, I heard something under my apartment.
I lived on the ground floor. The sound came from below the floorboards. Not scratching, not digging, walking. Slow, careful, like something learning the shape of the room above it. I didn't sleep. I packed. I drove until the sun came up. I ended up in a town so small it didn't have traffic lights, just stop signs and one gas station. I took a job stocking shelves. I walked to work, different times every day, different routes. I thought I was safe again, until I saw the chalk marks, little white lines on the sidewalk corners, not random, placed where someone would turn, not arrows, not symbols, measurements, distances, steps. I erased them. They came back. I poured water over them. They reappeared dry. One morning, I found a line outside my front door, measured to the inch from the doorstep to the curb. That was when I knew. It wasn't just mapping cities anymore. It was mapping me. I tried to disappear completely. No job, no routine, no phone. I slept in my car, drove at random, stopped when I felt like it. And for a while, there were no lights, no marks, no shadows. Then one night, I parked near a highway rest stop. The building was closed, lights off, bathrooms locked. As I walked past, one stall light turned on inside, then another, then the hallway light. I heard movement inside, not footsteps, sliding, like something moving without lifting itself off the floor. I ran. I don't know how many months passed, maybe years. Time doesn't behave the same when you don't live in patterns. But eventually, I met someone else, a woman who used to work traffic cameras in a city on the coast. She said the cameras started following her instead of cars, not moving, just turning, always pointing where she went next. She quit when one of the cameras showed her walking before she got there. We traveled together for a while, different schedules, different routes. It worked, until it didn't. One night, she went to use a restroom at a bus station. The lights inside flicked on one by one. I waited outside. She never came back out. I didn't go in. I already knew what I would find. Now I live where there are no buildings, no power lines, no streets, just dirt roads and sky. I sleep when I'm tired. I walk when I feel like it. I never go the same way twice. And still, sometimes at night, I see a single light in the distance, not from a house, not from a town, just floating above the horizon, waiting. Because it isn't building a city anymore, it's building a network, a way to move anywhere people move, a way to travel through human habits. And once it finishes, it won't need streets, it won't need houses, it won't need lights. It will just follow paths inside people. The urge to go somewhere, the need to repeat, the comfort of routine. That's what it eats. That's what it learns. And someday, when every habit has been mapped, there won't be anywhere left to hide.
I didn't think it could be stopped, only delayed. Every place I ran, it found a way to follow, not through streets anymore, not through houses, through behavior. I finally understood what it wanted. Not bodies, not cities, predictability. So I did the only thing left. I made myself impossible to map. I went somewhere with no roads, a stretch of desert where the land didn't care where you walked. No power lines, no buildings, no lights at night. Just wind and dust and open sky. I stayed there for weeks. I slept when I was tired. I walked when my legs felt restless. I never counted steps, never followed stars, never chose the same direction twice. For the first time in years, nothing happened. No lights, no marks, no shadows. Until one night, the horizon glowed. Not a town, not a fire, a single point of light standing alone in the dark. I knew what it was. Not a building, not a lamp, a marker. Something saying, "Here is where you will go next." I turned away from it and walked into the dark. Behind me, the light moved. Not fast, not slow, always keeping the same distance, like it was waiting for me to settle into a direction. So I stopped walking. The light stopped too. I sat down. The light stayed where it was. That's when I understood. It couldn't move unless I did. It didn't know where to go unless I chose first. For 3 days, I stayed there. No walking, no pacing, no routines, just sitting. The light flickered. It dimmed. On the 4th night, it split. 2 lights now, one to my left, one to my right. Trying to predict, trying to guess. I stood up, took 1 step. Both lights jumped forward at once. Confused. I laughed, for the first time since this started. "You don't know me anymore," I said out loud. The lights trembled. Then one went out. The other followed. The desert went dark again. I thought it was over. I was wrong. A week later, I reached a small town to get supplies. 1 gas station, 1 diner, no traffic light. Inside the diner, I ordered coffee. I sat at a different booth than before, a different seat. I left through a different door. When I stepped outside, the porch light turned on. There was no porch, just a wall, a blank wall with a glowing circle of light on it. I didn't run. I walked, not away, not toward, sideways, across the dirt, off the road. The light followed for 3 steps, then stopped, like it couldn't understand a path without a street. I kept walking. By morning, there were no lights behind me, only footprints, mine, and 1 other set, 2 straight, 2 evenly spaced, waiting for me to choose a direction again. So I didn't. I walked in spirals, in zigzags, in meaningless lines, and the other footprints faded, because it can only live inside patterns, and I learned how to stop being one.